morning, everyone. Another episode of Community Spotlight. And today it's really exciting to have here good friends that have been part of our family for, I think, more than 6 years now. A lovely couple and actually a family business that is transitioning to the daughter. And that's also another happy story. But Dawn and Ann have had our boys for, I think, 5 or 6 years now. And we're talking about summer camp, the time where kids are away from their parents, they get to be boys, they find out who they are and what they like and what they don't like. Lots of secrets are kept at summer camps, and it is a Canadian tradition that unfortunately was suspended last year because of COVID. So today I wanted to bring to you this lovely couple, Camp Panaka, a camp for boys. But I'll let Dawn and Ann talk about Panaka because they'll do a much better job. So Dawn and Ann, welcome, and thanks for being part of this.
Thanks, Elke. We're glad to be here.
Thanks, Elke. Yeah, I'll tell you just briefly about Panaka. Panaka was started in 1947 by my parents, Bruno and Gwen Morowitz. It was just a little piece of heaven on Lake Baptiste near Bancroft. And it's in the woods on the lake, and we've maintained its rusticity over all the years. The boys sleep in cabins and tents. There's no electricity, there's no technology. They just swim and play in the water and in the woods and go horseback riding and rock climbing and all sorts of different activities that they do. And most of the boys stay for an entire month. They're 2 4-week sessions. So when they're at camp, they are truly away for a long period of time. And camp teaches kids, basically kids learn to grow up at camp. They learn to be independent. They learn to take care of their belongings, to take care of themselves. They learn to make decisions every day, a decision of if I don't bring my shoes in at night and it rains, my shoes are going to get wet. And they learn through little consequences like that to care for themselves. They learn compassion. They learn how to live in a group. They learn to take initiative. There's just so many soft skills that kids learn at camp that put them in good stead for life. And Panaka is one of about 400 accredited camps in the province. Many camps were started like we were post-World War II and have continued and thrived with the same values that they started with way back when.
And it's spectacular because I see friendships that are born there and they keep in touch. And then a lot of my friends, and I'm not disclosing my age because that's a couple of decades more than my kids, or a couple of decades. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's people stay in touch, and people who went to camp make sure that their kids go to camp. And then something that I absolutely love about camp is there's 2 things: the peppered socks all over the place. That I find hilarious. It's a weird sock every 2 meters, but also the fact that it's a leveling environment. So if at school you were being bullied, there's no such thing here. And if you're the bully, there's no place for you. They'll humble you down and they'll make you understand that bullying is not cool. So that was something that I found really interesting there. So tell me, what's happening with Panaka? What's happening with summer camps? Who do we need to talk to? How can we make this happen? Because our kids need it. There's mental health. Everybody needs this. What's going on?
So yeah, we're basically on hold right now, Elke, because it's a matter of the pandemic, and the kids you are not really, they're not being looked at right now because of the case count and the virus, the trouble that's going on now in Ontario. But it is the government's decision. It's the health table. It'll be Dr. David Williams and the Premier's office who will have to decide whether they'll allow camps to open. We are, we're keen to see them open this summer. We know, basically, if I could just mention that the kids, have suffered so much this year without camp, without anything. There's from their social life, their emotional life, their physical life. Everybody's had that kind of, many of your people watching will know that the kids have suffered immensely. So, our hope is that they'll look at the camps as a safe place for children to be this summer. And we can talk about that. Anne has a few comments on that too, but It would be MPPs and cabinet ministers, but mainly the doctors at the public health table have to decide that camp is a safe option. And they do know they're letting day camps operate. Day camps can run. Go ahead.
Being a fierce defender of common sense, if you do rapid testing before going to camp and you ship the kids there, isn't there like a massive big bubble isolated? Because you guys are really, really, really far. You're like 4 hours north of Toronto. What better than that?
Exactly.
Yeah, and there's a guidance document that was prepared. One silver lining of this whole thing has been that the camping community has really come together. The camp directors, camp owners are all talking. We've talked more together in the last 6 months or year than we have in 30 years. And it's wonderful because we're all working together. And there's a task force, a COVID task force that's being put together by the Ontario Camps Association. And they've presented a guidance document to public health, which is very thorough. It talks about exactly the things you're talking about: a negative COVID test before they come, social distancing and cohorting until we're sure there's no COVID in the camp. And then we create a bubble. The kids don't leave, the staff don't leave. We make alternate arrangements for staff and their time off. And we have a physician, or many camps have nurses at camp, and they will do testing at camp. They'll do tracing at camp. And the other thing that camp directors are very good at is mitigating risk. That we have to deal with risk every day. We couldn't run a camp without dealing with risk, and we recognize that this is one more risk that we're going to have to take. We're not happy about it, but we have to accept the fact that we have to deal with it. And so we will problem solve and figure out the best way we can if we do have a case of COVID at camp. So,
and have you guys reached out to sick kids? Because mental health, to me, honestly, particularly with children, mental health is right now so important. And it's, you know, the little kids that were supposed to socialize, the middle kids who haven't seen their friends. I remember my daughter going to school the first day and seeing kids live, and she was kind of like, what? Like, she was a little bit surprised, or a level of anxiety I had never seen in her.
Yeah, no, Sick Kids has already said, Dr. Cohen, the head of Sick Kids, has said camps need to run. The children, it would be a great place for them, and it'll be a way to help them with anxiety and lack of socialization and the fear that they've been through. So there's no question that even at that Sick Kids highest level, they're saying it's certainly a good opportunity, and there's no reason not to let camps operate, overnight camps operate this summer.
And I mean, if Sick Kids is saying that, wouldn't it just be easy and common sense for the government to, like, seriously stamp it and get rid of you guys? Like, literally just one file done. I mean, I get it. The government is stretched in absolutely every direction, and they're tired. But this is literally low-hanging fruit. Ship them to camp. It's safer than day camps. I'm sorry. There's no commuting. There's no back and forth grocery shopping. None of that. And
the other thing is, last summer resorts were allowed to be open even though we weren't. And we saw a resort close to the camp that was thriving with tent trailers and cabins, people coming from all over Ontario and beyond, to people who would go into town to shop and eat out. And so that's not, I mean, camp is less of a risk than a resort or a day camp, in the sense that people truly will be bubbled and be safe, secure away.
And the other risk I see here is the Canadian tradition.
Yes.
Like, what happens? Because I know you have your counselors and your CITs, and all these kids aspire to be CITs at some point, and getting the washing job is kind of like the hit, or the kitchen. What happens if you don't run 2 years in a row, and not just Panaka, you and the other 400? Right. How does that work, or how does that not work?
You might, and we think you'll see it, over half of the camps fold. They would go under. They will not survive the financial loss of 2 summers in a row. That's one factor, just financially. The other one, as you mentioned, is the staff. And we grow and train our staff every summer from the boys who grow up at camp. So they become these wonderful counselors, but they have to have experience. They've got to learn from the older staff. And it's a very slim margin. If you lose And we would, if we couldn't run this summer and could not employ those counselors who are the key to the success of the camp, and they're gone next year in 2022, the impact would be devastating. I don't know how, you know, you would survive with, you would make it work, but you would risk a lot of the wonderful skills and knowledge the staff have.
Well, I don't know. I mean, my call to action to everyone seeing this spotlight is please reach out to your MPPs, because it's just common sense. It's good for the kids, parents. It's good for kids to go to camp. Gives you a bit of a break. I love my kids, would catch a grenade for them, but they're really happy at camp. And those are days that they really count the minutes. And the school is not out yet, and they're already packing, and they're excited. And it's an easy win that I hope the government does listen. I mean, if Ronnie Cohen spoke, he's an eminence. I have all the respect on earth for him. Let's just make it happen. It's yet another small business. It's an easy win, and it's good for kids. It's really good socializing, building memories, forgetting about COVID and the madness this has been. Having time away from the parents that have been breathing down their necks for over a year now. Yeah. It's good for everyone. So let's have, you know, allow common sense to prevail. And you guys are camps for boys. You got there's other camps for girls. There are co-eds, but I think it's the value of the experience and a little breather from this COVID madness that I hope it works. So let us know, please, how we can help. We can write letters. Probably my kids would pick it and drag me with it. We'll do whatever it takes to make this happen. So I wanted to thank you guys. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's appeal to people's common sense, and let's see how it goes.
Thank you, Elke. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, and hopefully we'll see you on Lake Baptiste this summer.
With the boys.
Yes, tarts and all. Awesome.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.